Watchmen, stand in the gap. We must learn how to love people without becoming blind to the danger surrounding us. Stay awake.
There's a difference between somebody arriving with open hands and something entering disguised as peace while carrying destruction behind it. And that's why discernment matters.
This is Nightwave Radio. No chaser. I'm Jason J. Knight.
With me, my brother and co-host, Flip Diesel, from your favorite podcast.
Tonight, we're talking about discernment, because fear can make people react emotionally instead of spiritually, and nobody wants to become cold-hearted. Nobody wants to live angry. Nobody wants to hate people. But at the same time, people also don't want to become naive. And I think one of the biggest struggles people are having right now is trying to figure out, how do you love people without becoming blind to danger?
And that's a hard conversation now, because the second people bring up concern, everybody immediately wants to throw them into a political category.
But I think the real tension runs deeper than politics.
Jason, because some people ain't wrestling with hate, they wrestling with trust.
Exactly. And I think there's a difference between migration and force. There's a difference between people trying to build a life and systems moving so fast that people stop feeling grounded. And honestly, fear complicates all of it. Because once fear enters the conversation, people either become hardened or they stop discerning completely.
Both are dangerous.
That's why I thought about the story of Troy. The Trojan horse didn't arrive looking dangerous. It arrived looking like a gift. And sometimes the most dangerous things in life don't come through the front door looking like war. Sometimes they come looking harmless, friendly, useful, welcomed. That's why discernment matters. And listen.
That doesn't mean every stranger is evil.
That's not what I'm saying. Because scripture also talks about welcoming the foreigner, loving your neighbor,
showing hospitality.
The Bible is clear about that too. But at the same time, the Bible also talks about watchmen, people willing to stay awake, people willing to stand in the gap, people discerning what's approaching the gate. Ezekiel 22:30, and I think somewhere along the way, people started acting like love means abandoning discernment. It doesn't.
Because if you leave every door unlocked in the name of being nice, eventually something gets in that destroys the house.
And honestly, that's biblical too. Because scripture says, Mark 3:25, a divided house eventually collapses.
And I think people are afraid of that right now. Afraid of instability, afraid of losing order, afraid of losing trust in the systems around them. But fear can distort discernment too.
Because nobody wants to become cold-hearted. Nobody wants to live angry. Nobody wants to hate people. But at the same time, people also don't want to become naive.
And I think many people feel guilty for even wrestling with that tension.
But the Bible never taught blind trust. It taught discernment. Jesus loved people constantly, but he also discerned hearts. Everybody around him wasn't operating from pure intentions. Some people came honestly, some people came manipulatively, some people came spiritually confused, some people came trying to trap him, and he discerned all of it. That's wisdom. Paul warned believers to walk carefully,
not as unwise,
but wise. Ephesians 5:15-16.
And honestly, fear messes discernment up both ways. Some people get so scared they trust nobody. Other people get so scared of sounding judgmental, they stop paying attention completely.
That's real. And honestly, that's why influence matters. Who you listen to matters. Who you follow matters. We're living in a time now where outrage spreads fast, fear spreads fast, division spreads fast. And if we're not spiritually grounded, emotion starts making decisions wisdom should be making. That's dangerous, because once emotion takes over completely, discernment usually disappears. And then people either become hardened or become reckless.
Both are dangerous.
That's why I keep coming back to the Watchman. A watchman wasn't called to hate everybody approaching the city. The job was discernment, to recognize who comes in peace and who comes carrying destruction.
That's different.
And honestly, I think we need prayer more than panic right now. Paul told believers to pray for all people, especially those in authority, so people could live peaceful and quiet lives. 1 Timothy 2:1-2, because if we're not spiritually grounded, people stop seeing clearly. And Proverbs says, Proverbs 14:1, a wise person builds the house. A foolish one tears it down with their own hands. And honestly, I think that applies spiritually too. This is Nightwave Radio. No chaser. I'm Jason J. Knight.
Stay awake.
Stay anchored. Keep standing. And we'll see you on the next Wave broadcast.
Nightwave Radio, this one's for you.
Nightwave Radio, broadcasting from the edge of the court. If this spoke to you, share it with someone who needs a little courage tonight, and we'll see you on the next broadcast.
Whoa! This is awesome! Yeah! Let's go again!